Present us, O Lord, in all of our doings with thy most gracious favor, and further us with thy continual help, that in all our works, begun, continued, and ended in thee, we may glorify thy holy name, and finally by thy mercy attain everlasting life. Amen. Introduction of guests. I recognize the Minister of Advanced Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I request leave for an extended introduction.
Member has requested leave for an extended introduction. Is leave granted?
Well, colleagues, it is indeed a pleasure of mine today to introduce to you, and through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Legislative Assembly, the 11th Premier of Saskatchewan, Donald Grant Devine.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
I don't know how many times in my career that we've had a chance to welcome a former Premier to the House, but it is indeed an auspicious occasion. Grant Devine served, as I said, as the 11th Premier of Saskatchewan, elected on April 26, 1982, became Premier May 8, 1982, and served until November 1, 1991. Premier Devine oversaw an election where 55 of 64 seats at the time were elected members of the Grant Devine government. Grant and his wife Chantel were quite a team, a political team in our province. Premier Devine was preceded by Alan Blakeney and followed by Roy Romano as Premier. He was born in Regina. He holds a Bachelor's of Agriculture degree from the University of Saskatchewan, a Master's in Ag Economics from the University of Alberta, and a PhD from the Ohio State University in Columbus. So known as Dr. Grant Devine. His theme in his election in 1982 was open for business. If you remember back then, interest rates were 21, 19, 18%. His government reduced interest rates for new homeowners to 11 3/4, and that was seen as quite a thing. The Rafferty-Alameda Dam and the Rafferty-Alameda, those members in the south especially, but across the province will know that area of the province, the lake has been named Devine Lake in his honor. He was responsible, yes. He was responsible for establishing the nitrogen plant. It became the Sask-Furco plant in southern Saskatchewan, and when I became Minister of Crown Corporations in the Brad Wall government, we had an opportunity to sell that facility to the private sector and use those funds to build the Children's Hospital in Saskatchewan. First for that. This introduction is special for me as I had an opportunity from 1989 to 1991 to serve as Premier Devine's personal assistant, and presently he continues to serve his province. He's on the Board of Governors of the University of Saskatchewan. Members will know that there's a reception following the proceedings today in the House, and Premier Devine will be there, as will the Board of the University of Saskatchewan. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, please help me in welcoming the 11th Premier of Saskatchewan. They say that we stand on the shoulders of those who have come before us, and that is indeed the case for members on this side of the House. Thank you, colleagues.
Hear, hear. I recognize the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to join in with the Minister opposite in welcoming Premier Grant Devine to his Assembly. Welcome back to his Assembly. Thank him for his service to the people of this province. We know that no member who sits here serves alone. It takes a village of friends and family to support us, and want to thank him for his service to the people of this province.
Hear, hear. I recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To you and through you, I'd like to welcome three guests sitting in your gallery today. Fred and Heather Wright from Enfield, Nova Scotia. Give us a wave. Thank you. And Adam Cook from Regina here in the capital city. These guests here today came to witness the opening of the new Breast Health Centre here in Regina. They are the parents and the husband of Sarah Wright, who's a breast cancer survivor and advocate here in Regina, and also serves in communications in the Government Caucus Office. And you know, I just want to say, as Minister of Health, and I know the previous Minister of Health so greatly appreciates Sarah's contributions and advocacy for this important issue in our province. You should be very proud of your daughter and your husband, because what we saw today was her work, some of her work becoming reality for many women in the province, and that is something that you should be very proud of for your daughter and wife. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just ask all members to please welcome Fred, Heather, and Adam to the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon-Fairview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the official opposition, I'd like to join in with the Minister opposite of welcoming Fred, Heather, and Adam to their Legislative Assembly today, and thank them for their advocacy on behalf of all the people across this great province. Every woman deserves access to breast cancer care when and where she needs it, and we very much appreciate the advocacy work that you're doing, and I'd ask all members to join me in welcoming them to their Assembly.
I recognize the Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is leave granted?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. To you and through you, seated in your gallery, it is my pleasure to introduce Rochelle Gruber, Britton Callender, Leah Fuchs, and Chris Clement. Rochelle, Britton, and Leah are emergency dispatchers from the Regina Police Service, and Chris is the Executive Director of Engagement and Enterprise Projects for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, Mr. Speaker. Our guests are present today to join us in acknowledging Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Saskatchewan. We recognize and appreciate the very vital role that emergency dispatchers have in saving lives, and I want to acknowledge and express our gratitude to these individuals for their devotion to serving the public. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of our government, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Rochelle, Britton, Leah, and Chris to their Legislative Assembly, thank them for their work and for keeping Saskatchewan people safe.
Here.
And while I'm on my feet, Mr. Speaker, to you and through you, also seated in your gallery, it is my pleasure to introduce three members from the Order of the Eastern Star Saskatchewan chapter. Joining us are the worthy Grand Matron, Lynn Moffat, the worthy Grand Patron, Ray Moffat, and the General Grand Chapter Ambassador to Quebec, Donna Sanders. Mr. Speaker, Lynn and Ray have served as heads of the Order for the past year, which will conclude with the upcoming Grand Chapter session in Moose Jaw from April 25th to 27th. They are long-standing members of the community of Moose Jaw, where they raised 5 children. Mr. Speaker, Ray is now retired from farming and his trucking company. Donna is a retired nurse who raised 3 children here in Regina and is also a recipient of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal. The Order of the Eastern Star is a worldwide non-profit organization whose goal is to make a positive difference in the world with charitable works, lasting friendships, and loving kindness to all mankind. Here in the province of Saskatchewan, the Saskatchewan chapter has embodied these ideals throughout their history, including recent fundraising efforts to support the Canadian Mental Health Association and Service Dogs services. I would ask all members to please join me in welcoming these 3 guests to their Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the member from Regina Douglas Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honour to join with the minister opposite in welcoming all of these individuals to their legislative gallery on behalf of the official opposition. First, to the Order of the Eastern Star members, Lynn, Ray, and Donna, thank you for all that you do for the community, for the people of Saskatchewan. In particular, as had been mentioned by the minister, your work in the area of philanthropy. Thank you so much for your giving spirit. And I also want to take the opportunity, as the minister also did, in welcoming Rochelle, Leah, Britton, and of course Chris from the SPSA to their legislative gallery. Thank you so much for all that you do. I think often we forget as citizens how much work dispatchers do and how integral they are to the emergency response process. And you speak with the people of Saskatchewan going through horrific crisis and walk them through, navigate that experience for them, while getting them the help that they need as timely as you can. So I appreciate you being here to allow us the opportunity to shed light on the work that you do, to thank you for your work, not just yours, but all of the employees that you represent, and remember the incredible daily sacrifice, frankly, that you give on behalf of the people of Saskatchewan so that we can all live in a safer place. So again, I ask all members to join me in welcoming all of these individuals to their legislative gallery.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Stonebridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A request for an extended invitation.
Member has requested leave for an extended introduction. Is leave granted?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it's not an invitation, but it gives me great pleasure to welcome 3 residents of Saskatoon Stonebridge today, Jean Carroll, Sterling McWaters, and Linda McWaters. They joined this morning for a tour of their legislative assembly, and it's been a pleasure getting to know them over the last several months. The member from Kindersley Bigger isn't here for me to make my quip about my assistant not being someone who can get along with, but anyhow, my assistant Levi has been hanging out with these 3 fine folks amongst others in their apartment building, and getting to know them and learning about the issues that matter to you has been really meaningful and important for me. I also appreciate all of the distances that you traveled and all of the things that you've had to do to be here today. It's really appreciated. And with that, Mr. Speaker, please help me in welcoming Jean, Linda, and Sterling to their Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the Minister of Trade and Export.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too would like to welcome Premier Grant Devine here. I'm not sure if Premier recognizes, but my vintage was very much incentivized by Premier Devine in our love and interest in politics. I remember him at my kitchen table with my father. I was a young farmer, just bought some land at that 18.5% interest rates. He asked what he could do for young farmers. And I told him that, boy, interest rates, if we could reduce that, would sure make a big difference. And sure enough, next session, we had an interest rebate program for young farmers. So But I also, the city of Melville and the area of East Central Saskatchewan has definitely benefited from some of the actions of the Devine Cabinet and crop insurance. A huge employer to our area, is embedded and still embedded in the city of Melville and plays an important role in the economy in the area of Melville. And certainly a number of other institutions developed and initiated in the East Central region of Saskatchewan have very much benefited from the Devine Cabinet and Premier Devine and his role in shaping the province the way we are today. So certainly, I'd like all members to, again, welcome Premier Devine to his Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the member from Regina Rochdale.
To you and through you, I'd also like to recognize some visitors in your gallery as well. We have Megan Schmidt, who is at the First Years Early Learning Centre, and she is one of the stalwart care providers for children and childcare here in the city of Regina. Her organization has been serving this community for 9 years. In addition, you might see Tamara. Tamara is with the Scott Infant Toddler Centre, and that organization has been a stalwart of childcare here in Regina for 35 years. And they have 33 spaces that they provide care for. And in addition, Kara Steiner. Kara, you might remember, is from the Prairie Lily Early Learning Centre. That organization has been around for 50 years here in Regina, and they are responsible for 113 children spaces that they care for. In total, it's almost 250 childcare spaces that these women help to make sure that we have wonderful childcare for the future. I'd like everyone to join with me in welcoming these ladies to their legislature.
I recognize the Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to join the member for Regina Rochdale in also welcoming our guests here today, Megan, Tamara, and Kara. Thank you for being here to your Legislative Assembly, and thank you on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan for the work that you're doing when it comes to childcare. And as we heard from the member opposite, decades upon decades of experience in this area. I'm sure you've seen a lot of change over that period of time, and of course challenges that I think all of us here are working hard to address. So on behalf of the provincial government, I'd welcome you to your Legislative Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Regina Elphinstone Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to join with the member from Regina Rochdale and the minister opposite in welcoming the childcare advocates to the legislature. Tamara and Megan are both familiar faces. I had the pleasure of touring the Scott Infant Childcare Centre at one point, saw the good work that was being done there in the core of North Central, including making sure there's space available for many vulnerable families in the area. And also I wanted to welcome, of course, Kara Steiner. I have mentioned here that my children have the great privilege of attending one of the 2 Prairie Lily Early Learning Centers locations. I've seen Kara in action there, not only with families and children who she clearly cares deeply for, but the way that this individual cares for, nurtures, and protects her staff is just truly touching. She's a mama bear when it comes to her staff and making sure they have a positive workplace. And you know, the minister mentioned change and challenges. There's been no shortage of those in this industry, and that's really a testament to these 3. Kara also shares her skills through the Regina Trades and Skills Centre. She's served with SECA in the past. She's really a leader in her area. So I wanted to, as are all of them, I just know Kara a little better. So I just wanted to join with the members in welcoming these 3 to their Legislative Assembly.
Presenting petitions. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I present a petition calling for adequate and equitable SED rates. We, the undersigned residents of the province of Saskatchewan, wish to bring to your attention the following. That current SED rates mean that individuals who rely on the program live in what is referred to as deep poverty, defined as less than 75% of the poverty line. That the increases are insufficient and have led to an overall 20% decrease in benefits when adjusting for inflation. that the Saskatchewan government engages in clawback policies that have been found to be discriminatory and further disadvantage people living with disability. We, in the prayer that reads as follows, respectfully request the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan call on the Government of Saskatchewan to immediately increase the SED rates to account for inflation and the cost of living, respect the constitutional rights of persons with disabilities in Saskatchewan by halting discriminatory practices and aligning policies with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Index the SED basic amount to inflation going forward and provide targeted relief to those in deepest poverty, such as single individuals paying market rent. The undersigned reside in Saskatoon, Asquith. I do so present.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon, Pasqua.
Speaker, we the undersigned, a resident of the province of Saskatchewan, wish to bring to your attention the following. That Sikhism is the fourth largest religious group in Canada, making up 2% of the country's population. That Sikh people have lived in Saskatchewan since 1957. That Sikh people across the province contribute to Saskatchewan's culture, economy, and community. That April is the month of the Sikh Spring Festival of Vaisakhi and is commonly recognized as Sikh Heritage Month. That the Sikh community must currently reapply every year to have April recognized as Sikh Heritage Month. We in the prayer that read as follows, respectfully request the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan call on the Government of Saskatchewan to immediately pass the Sikh Heritage Month. The signatory of this petitions are resident of Saskatoon. I do so present. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Regina Elphinstone Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm on my feet to present a petition calling on the government to reverse the ban on third-party educators from publicly funded schools. The signatories of this petition wish to bring to the government's attention that in August 2023, their government banned all third-party educators from publicly funded schools. That includes organizations like the Regina Sexual Assault Centre, the Saskatoon Sexual Assault and Information Centre, the Battlefords and Area Sexual Assault Centre, the Northeast Outreach and Support Services, Partners Family Services, the Prince Albert Sexual Assault Centre, the West Central Crisis and Family Support Centre, and various YWCAs throughout the province. These organizations and others have been providing research-based education to schools in Saskatchewan for decades, Mr. Speaker. When I think of the different petitions we present here around Saskatchewan having the highest rates of domestic violence in the country or the highest rates of unplanned pregnancy amongst youth in the country, these are the kinds of resources that we need to be providing to young people in educational settings. With that, I will read the prayer. We in the prayer that reads as follows respectfully request that the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan call on the Government of Saskatchewan to immediately reverse its decision to ban third-party educators in Saskatchewan schools and consult with experts in developing a comprehensive curriculum for all Saskatchewan students. The signatories of this petition reside in Melfort, Kinistino, Carrot River. I do so present.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Silver Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise in the Assembly calling for mandatory intimate partner violence education. We, the undersigned residents of the province of Saskatchewan, wish to bring to your attention the following. Saskatchewan has the highest rate per capita of intimate partner violence, also known as domestic violence, in Canada. The economic impact of IPV in Canada is estimated at over $7 billion per year. A large portion of tangible IPV costs are paid by the government for items like the criminal and civil justice system and healthcare system. Annual estimated losses to employers from IPV are over $77 million in Canada. Workplace orientation would include all genders from all walks of life in all areas of the province. Employers and employees need to know the signs of IPV and where to call for help. Education is key to changing the rates of interpersonal violence. We in the prayer that reads as follows, respectfully request the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan call on the Government of Saskatchewan to immediately mandate education in intimate partner violence be included in the orientation process for all new employees across all workplaces in the province. Mr. Speaker, the signatories of this petition reside in Warman and in Saskatoon. I do so present.
I recognize the member from Regina University.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to present a petition to the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan calling for the repeal of Bill 137. The undersigned residents of the province of Saskatchewan wish to bring to your attention the following. Queer and trans youth are at a higher risk of homelessness, self-harm and suicide when denied access to safe and inclusive learning environments. That Bill 137 directs educators to non-consensually out two-spirit, trans and non-binary students under the age of 16 to their parents. That Bill 137 is in direct contravention of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Code and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms as it relates to gender identity and expression. That by explicitly invoking the notwithstanding clause under Bill 137 that the government is overriding children's rights, and that Saskatchewan's advocate for children and youth has denounced this policy, indicating that it would cause harm. We in the prayer that reads as follows respectfully request that the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan call on the Government of Saskatchewan to immediately repeal Bill 137 and ensure that all 2S LGBTQI+ students are supported and protected in accordance with the Saskatchewan Human Rights Code. The undersigned reside in Saskatoon. I do so present.
Here, here.
Reading and receiving petitions. Statements by members. I recognize the member from Saskatoon University, Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, people all over the world were celebrating Baisakhi. Baisakhi marks the first day of the month of Baisakh, and it's traditionally celebrated every year on April 13 or 14. Historically, Baisakhi has a cultural significance. It's a festival of harvest. It's happening just before the harvest in Punjab and northern India. People are singing and dancing on the beats of drum and in celebration of incoming prosperity. Baisakhi has special significance for Sikhs. On April 13, 1699, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the 10th Guru of Sikhism, created the Khalsa order. In the 1600s, the Punjab region was in turmoil. The rulers were corrupt. There was no rule of law. The rights of the common people were non-existent. Justice did not prevail. It was under those circumstances that Guru Gobind Singh Ji rose to the occasion and chose to create the Khalsa. The Guru empowered the people within the community who would take on to the challenge and rise above the weakness, to be strong and fearless, to be prepared to face these challenges without reservations and to uphold justice, to be fair and even-handed all times, to be prepared to die for the truth. Since then, Sikhs all over the world celebrate Baisakhi. Happy Baisakhi to all.
I recognize the member from Yorkton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Public Safety Telecommunicators Week being proclaimed in the province of Saskatchewan. This week, April 13 to 19, we are recognizing 911 call takers, dispatchers, and technicians in Saskatchewan. When we dial 911, these incredible individuals answer the call by relaying vital information to firefighters, ambulance, law enforcement, and more. Across the province, telecommunicators work every day of the week, every hour of the day, to help save lives. I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude for their hard work and dedication. Telecommunicators quite literally connect us to a lifeline. Mr. Speaker, we rarely get the chance to meet these individuals in person to thank them for all they do for us and our loved ones. They do outstanding work in our communities, in our towns, and in our province to help keep us all safe. I ask all members to please join me in thanking these wonderful folks, the telecommunicators of our province. Thank you for always being there, ready to answer our call when we need you the most.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Chief Mistawassis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise, the proud MLA of the riding of Saskatoon Chief Mistawassis. Yes, this newly created riding appropriately took its name from the recently constructed Chief Mistawassis Bridge, both the symbolic and practical connection to the connection of the northwest and northeast edges of Saskatoon. But today I am proud and wish to speak not of the riding nor the bridge, but rather the person, Chief Mr. Wassas, a revered leader of the Nehewak known as Sakawenawak, a frontline negotiator and original signatory of Treaty 6. Chief Mr. Wassas is a well-documented, wise leader, guiding his people through the depletion of the buffalo herds, determined to find a way for them to stay alive, stating famously, "Our way of living is gone. There are no more buffalo. We have to find a new way to feed our people." And in so, he took the lead to ensure education and agriculture were well established in treaty rights. The nation, Mr. Wassas Nehewak number 103, is located in the riding of Roster and Shelbrook, currently represented by the Premier. In the first case, I want to recognize this obvious and to be developed connection between our suburban riding and the important historical homeland. Secondly, I call upon us all to express our humble recognition of the sacrifice and debt owed the original peoples of this land through colonization and to know the story of our namesake, Chief Mr. Wassas.
I recognize the member from Martensville, Blairmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, racing fans of all ages, it's time to rev those engines and hit the gas of excitement, because we're talking about Sutherland Automotive Speedway, a true jewel right here in my very own constituency. This isn't just a racetrack, it's the racetrack, the heart of Saskatchewan's motorsport scene. It's one-of-a-kind gem attracting people from all over Canada who come to watch, participate, and feel the thrill of the race. Whether you're here for high-speed action, the adrenaline rush, or a friendly competition, Sutherland Speedway delivers family fun at its finest. This track is more than just rubber on pavement. It's a place where memories are made, friendships are forged, and the roar of engines brings everyone together. It's a place where future champions get their start, and where seasoned pros bring their A-game. From the first lap to the last, every turn, every race is an experience that connects us all. The energy is electric, the atmosphere is unbeatable, and the excitement, well, that's second to none. So let's take a moment to appreciate how lucky we are to have this amazing asset in our community, a place where we can come together, cheer for our favorites, and enjoy good old-fashioned family fun. So let's continue to support this incredible venue, bring the whole family together, cheer on the racers, and keep the engines roaring. Mr. Speaker, the best is yet to come at Sutherland Automotive Speedway. It's right here in the driver's seat, taking us all on a ride of a lifetime. Let's go racing.
Hear, 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 hear. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Stonebridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize a few citizens of the Stonebridge community. Jean Carroll, Linda McWaters, and Sterling McWaters live in the same apartment building in Saskatoon Stonebridge. They banded together recently with a couple dozen other residents after they all received massive rent increases. Many in the group are seniors and longtime residents on fixed incomes, yet some saw their rent sharply increase as much as 29% over a 2-year period. They now also pay for their parking spaces and even a monthly fee for the planters' boxes that they decorate with flowers. They're being nickel and dimed because of the lack of legal and regulatory protections available to them. Recently, myself and the members from Saskatoon Churchill Wildwood and Saskatoon Westview met with their group of a couple dozen, and we were thoroughly impressed by their level of organization and readiness. Their group represents a wonderful show of solidarity during the affordability crisis created by this government. This Premier and the members of his government have done nothing to advance the rights of the many people of Saskatchewan who rent, especially seniors. The Sask Party refuses to consider implementing a rental cap like most of our neighbouring provinces, such as Manitoba, for example, have capped their rent increases to 1.7%. Mr. Speaker, I invite all members of this Assembly to join me in recognizing Jean, Linda, Sterling, and everyone else in those apartment buildings in this province participating in similar inspiring small acts of solidarity in these tough times. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize a member from Carrot River Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On March 6, I attended the 21st ABEX Awards in Nipawin. The ABEX Awards are the Achievement in Business Excellence Awards created to recognize businesses for their outstanding commitment in and around the community. I would like to recognize the Nipawin District Chamber of Commerce Board and President Yuri Daniluk, who are dedicated in their role of supporting Nipawin and district businesses. I would also like to acknowledge Lisa Suchland, Executive Director of the Nipawin District Chamber of Commerce, who coordinates events such as this and for all other important duties she performs. Without sponsors, events such as these would not be possible. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Lake Country Co-op, Suncrest College, and SaskTel. I would like to congratulate the following businesses on their awards. Centre Street Drugs, winner of the Service Award, Rona Nipawin, winner of the Retail Award, Twin Lakes Trailblazers, winner of the Heritage Award, Nipawin Greenhouses, winner of the Agriculture Award. Mr. Speaker, I ask all members to join me and recognize the winners of the 2024 ABEX Awards, the nominees, and the Nipawin District Chamber of Commerce.
I recognize the member from Moosomin-Romarch.
Mr. Speaker, my area is known for its success in fundraising. Just this last Saturday, the Fleming Pie Auction, in a town of 70 people, raised more than $10,000, the most ever, as the Premier noted at SUMA this morning. And for the last 3 years, Moosomin has had the most successful Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign in the province. 2 years ago, Moosomin raised more than $34,000 in Smile Cookie sales. Last year, it was first again, raising $45,000. And this year, the goal is to raise even more. The community really gets behind the effort. I was decorating cookies at Tim Hortons last year alongside a lot of volunteers, and it's amazing to see how everyone supports it. And what could be better than eating cookies for a cause? It's a win-win. Moosomin's aiming to set a new record during Smile Cookie Week, April 28th to May 4th, and raise more than the $45,000 from last year. And the proceeds will go to playground upgrades at McLeod School in Moosomin. Why are they going to a playground project? To benefit from matching funds, our government will provide for community fundraising for school playgrounds up to $50,000. That program will open this fall. If the community can raise $50,000, this program could double it to $100,000. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the people in my community for the way they get behind fundraising projects, and I'm proud that our government is there to help with this new program to provide matching funds for groups that have worked so hard to raise money for community projects like school playgrounds. Thank you.
Question period. I recognize the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we've learned of what frontline staff are calling an unprecedented crisis at the neonatal intensive care unit at the Regina General Hospital. This staffing crisis has been going on for weeks, and there are reports that they're running out of critical life-saving equipment like ventilators. These are sick newborns that are fighting for their lives. Will the minister tell this House exactly what is going on at the Regina General and what emergency measures are being taken to save the lives of these babies?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, all members of the House, including members of the opposition, would understand that capacity in our hospitals fluctuate week to week, Mr. Speaker. Over the last couple of weeks, Mr. Speaker, we've seen a bit of a surge of premature babies and multiple births, including twins born at Regina General Hospital, Mr. Speaker. This has required additional use of the NICU beds at the General, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, though I would quibble with the member's assertion that we're running out of ventilators, Mr. Speaker. We are not running out of ventilators. We've brought in extra staff to support the NICU here at the General. We have spare NICU capacity around the province, whether that be in Saskatoon or Prince Albert, Mr. Speaker. We're aware of challenges and we're working to address them. Thank you.
Here, here. Recognize the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the public only learned about this crisis at the General through a post by the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses late Friday. An email from a brave and clearly desperate frontline healthcare worker on the unit. That worker said, quote, "We are doing everything we can, but the strain is real and growing." I want to thank that healthcare worker and their colleagues for all they are doing to provide healthcare and save lives. But I have to ask the minister, why is it that we are only learning about this crisis through anonymous emails?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, the Maternal and Children Provincial Program team in the Saskatchewan Health Authority meets daily, Mr. Speaker, understanding where our capacity pressures are and trying to load level the system as best as possible, Mr. Speaker. As I said in my previous answer, we have sufficient equipment at the General, the NICU unit, as well as NICU bed capacity in other facilities in the province to make sure that when children need the care that they need, that we have a bed for them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
They're not getting the care they need, Mr. Speaker. That is the point. Mr. Speaker, the Sask Party government broke our public health care system, and they're not up to the job of fixing it. It's not funny. There's no public accountability and no plan. And that's how it always goes with this government when it comes to health care. But this involves our most vulnerable. Some of these babies are newborns, and they're fighting for their lives. How did the minister allow this crisis to get so bad?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
You know, Mr. Speaker, let me just say that the frontline healthcare workers that we have, specifically working in for pediatric patients around the province, Mr. Speaker, I think we can be incredibly proud of the work that they do each and every day, whether that's here at the General, Mr. Speaker, whether that's in Saskatoon at Jim Pattison Children's Hospital, or the pediatric program up in Prince Albert at the Vic Hospital, Mr. Speaker. We can be very proud of the level of care, the quality of care that these folks provide to families and children in challenging situations, Mr. Speaker. This is a government that has made significant investments into pediatric programs. Even in this year's budget, Mr. Speaker, new funding to plan a new high-acuity maternal unit at Regina General, Mr. Speaker, working together with the Hospitals Regina Foundation on many projects over the last several years, expanding pediatric programs for more subspecialty positions here in the province, Mr. Speaker. This is how our government is supporting pediatric patients and their families.
Here. I recognize the member from Regina Elphinstone Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My heart hurts for these babies at the Regina General NICU and their families. This is literally every parent's worst nightmare. The healthcare worker who came forward said, quote, "The situation is becoming critical. One-to-one patient care assignments are being doubled, and today we used our last available ventilator." This is horrible, Mr. Speaker. Lack of staff, no more available ventilators. How did it get to the point where our NICU here in Regina has been over capacity for weeks? Healthcare workers are having to go public, and while the minister may quibble with the account of frontline healthcare workers, they say they used their last ventilator last week.
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, the Regina NICU has 16 machines that can be used as ventilators, Mr. Speaker. 8 are in use right now as of this morning. So that means there's 8 still available for use at the NICU at the General, Mr. Speaker. In terms of beds, Mr. Speaker, we're having some discharges today. I understand that means we'll have about 3 beds available later today at the NICU unit at the General Hospital, Mr. Speaker. My understanding is we have 5 available beds in Saskatoon after discharges and 5 available in Prince Albert as well. Mr. Speaker, pediatric care is something that we take very seriously in this province. That's why we've made the investments that I talked about in my previous answer. We'll continue to work with our provincial head of pediatrics, Dr. Clausen, to learn about more ways that we can support pediatric patients and their families in this province.
Member from Regina Elphinstone Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's disturbing to see the minister downplay these issues. The NICU has been over capacity for weeks. This frontline worker who came forward reported, quote, "We've been operating over capacity for weeks with no immediate relief in sight. Our dedicated staff are exhausted, working extended hours and multiple overtime shifts to ensure our most vulnerable patients receive the care that they need. These staff are working around the clock, and that minister is minimizing this crisis. For the record, what exact date did that minister become aware of this crisis, and how long has he been keeping it from the public?"
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, some of the things that member opposite is saying are just simply not the case, Mr. Speaker. As I said in a previous answer, the maternal and children's provincial program teams with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, they huddle every single day, Mr. Speaker, to understand pressures that we might be having in a specific facility and across the province, and making plans to make sure that we can look after these patients and their families. Mr. Speaker, I have a high degree of trust in our frontline healthcare workers, both here at the General Hospital in Regina and right across the province that look after pediatric patients, Mr. Speaker, and we look forward to continue working with them. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. I recognize the member from Regina Elphinstone Centre.
Mr. Speaker, out of one side of his mouth, that minister says he trusts healthcare workers. Out of the other.
Please apologize and withdraw from that and continue with your question.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize and withdraw. Mr. Speaker, the minister just said that what I said in my previous question was false. It was a quote from a frontline healthcare worker. I invite that minister, after question period, go to the Regina General, go to the NICU, talk to those healthcare workers, Mr. Speaker. It is abhorrent that not only did we found about this crisis because a healthcare worker went public, and I can't believe that this government would keep this from the public, Mr. Speaker. I mean, that Minister of Health, he won't release contracts, they won't post disruptions for rural communities so people know to go to the next community, and now we hear that the Regina NICU has been over capacity for weeks. Does the minister think it's acceptable that we learned about this crisis through a leak? Yes or no?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear, hear. I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I am not and will not minimize challenges that we have within our healthcare system, Mr. Speaker, and that's exactly why I said in previous answers why I trust our team at the Saskatchewan Health Authority to understand challenges that we may be having in specific facilities, whether that be around disruptions or capacity surges, Mr. Speaker, and I trust those people within the Saskatchewan Health Authority to make the right decisions so that people in our province can be cared for. Even if they're pediatric patients, we want them to be supported as well as their families. Mr. Speaker, as I've said in previous answers, this is a government that takes pediatric programming very seriously. Mr. Speaker, I talked about all the investments we've made up to this point, Mr. Speaker. We talked about the Jim Pattison Children's Hospital that has been built in Saskatoon, an incredible facility, Mr. Speaker, and the pediatric programs that we have in Regina and Prince Albert, Mr. Speaker. Again, we thank the frontline healthcare workers for their incredible work. We've added additional workforce support here in Regina while we have a surge at the General, Mr. Speaker, and we'll continue evaluating ways that we can support the frontline healthcare workers as well as the patients and their families.
Here, here, here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for months, the Sask Party has touted their new breast health center. They said it would be a game changer and they would finally be able to deliver health care that Saskatchewan women need. But new messages we've released today reveal the Sask Party is actively moving staff from other centers to operate the new center. Why did the minister fail to hire new staff for the breast health center? And how is moving around overworked staff we already have going to improve health care for Saskatchewan women?
Here, here. Here, here. I recognize the Minister of Health.
Here, here. Mr. Speaker, I'll do my best to clarify this for the members opposite. There's 13 new positions at the Regina Breast Health Centre. Mr. Speaker, 2 MRTs, 1 medical imaging scheduler, 1 diagnostic sonographer, 2.5 nurse navigators, 1 manager, 1 physiotherapist, 1 social worker, 1 unit support worker, and 2 medical office assistants, Mr. Speaker. That's in addition to the 4 positions that we're moving from the breast assessment clinic at the Pasco Hospital to the new Regina Breast Health Centre, Mr. Speaker. And this facility, it is a game changer. And it's a game changer for that exact reason, Mr. Speaker, making sure that we're taking all those services that are available to women in their breast health journey, Mr. Speaker, putting them under one roof, Mr. Speaker. We've heard directly from cancer survivors. We've heard directly from patients. We've heard directly from frontline healthcare workers and breast specialists in this community, Mr. Speaker. That's what the women of Saskatchewan deserve, and that's what we've done in this new Regina Breast Health Centre.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to clarify for the minister that new positions don't mean new workers. Mr. Speaker, I was horrified to learn that over 500 women have been forced to go to Calgary for mammograms because they could not access them here. This is a complete and total failure. Saskatchewan women deserve health care in Saskatchewan. What does the minister have to say to those 500 women staring down a cancer diagnosis? Will he at least start by apologizing for this complete failure?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, what I would say to that is, thank goodness the previous minister signed this contract with the company in Calgary while we had temporary pressures here in the Saskatchewan system to continue to give access to women to diagnostic mammograms and biopsies, Mr. Speaker. Thank goodness that we had another option for them while we built up the Breast Health Centre, Mr. Speaker. Again, I spoke today, I've spoke previous times in the House. We are going to improve access for women in their breast cancer journey, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly why we went to the company in Calgary while we were building up the Breast Health Centre, provided that access opportunity, Mr. Speaker. We're looking forward to this Breast Health Centre accepting its first patients here in Regina next week, Mr. Speaker. We expect that health centre will accept over 1,600 referrals every given year, Mr. Speaker, but that doesn't mean that we can't offer other access opportunities for women who are staring down a diagnosis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Here, here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this minister has said that sending women to Alberta for mammograms is efficient. I think performing mammograms right here in Saskatchewan would be much, much better. But you can't run mammograms if you don't have the staff to do so. Why did the Sask Party government fail to hire staff for the Breast Health Centre? How does shuffling staff actually get more women access to the health care they need?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the 13 positions that I outlined in one of my first answers to the member opposite, Mr. Speaker, 12 of those have been filled. One, we're in the final interview process for this week, Mr. Speaker. We look forward to getting that position filled so that the Breast Health Centre will be ready and up and running next week when it sees its first patient, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about the other access options for women in this province, Mr. Speaker, if it was my mom, if it was my grandma, if it was my wife or my sister, Mr. Speaker, I would want to have them have the quickest access possible to that diagnostic mammogram. Sometimes we hope, Mr. Speaker, that we can continue to build that capacity up in Saskatchewan, but if there's another option, Mr. Speaker, I know that I would want my relative to have that option. Thank you.
Here, here, here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon University Sutherland.
Mr. Speaker, both the Sikh Society of Regina and Sikh Society of Saskatchewan have directly written to the Premier. They have requested that he remove the MLA from Humboldt Waters from Government Caucus in response to her hateful remarks. The Premier took away some additional responsibilities from that member. This is a slap on the wrist. My question to the Premier is simple. Will he listen to the Sikh Society of Saskatchewan and Sikh Society of Regina and remove the ministerial member from Humboldt Waters from the Government Caucus?
Here, here. I recognize the Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, last week the member from Humboldt apologized for her inappropriate comments, Mr. Speaker, and last week also the Premier on the floor of this Assembly spoke to her statement, which he called inappropriate and inaccurate, Mr. Speaker. Also last week, as a member indicated, he removed a number of her caucus duties. Mr. Speaker, our government has taken a number of steps to recognize the importance of the Sikh religion and culture in our province, Mr. Speaker. We'll continue to recognize the importance of that, Mr. Speaker. We've declared, as we have in previous years, April to be Sikh Heritage Month, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to do so. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon University Sutherland.
Mr. Speaker, this is extremely disappointing and the community agrees too. The Sikh Society of Saskatchewan said in their letter to the Premier, quote, "It is especially disheartening that such an egregious and harmful statement was made from a position of public trust and within the legislature itself, a space intended to represent all people of Saskatchewan with integrity and respect." End quote. What does the Premier say to the Sikh Society of Saskatchewan? Why won't he listen to their call and remove her from Government Caucus?
I recognize the Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, it's my understanding that the Premier responded to that letter and has offered to meet with him, Mr. Speaker, and I would reiterate the remarks were inaccurate and inappropriate. The Premier addressed that on the floor of this Assembly, Mr. Speaker, took further action also last week, Mr. Speaker. We recognize the tremendous contribution the Sikh community has made to Saskatchewan. We will continue to recognize that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon University Southern.
Mr. Speaker, this incident was not merely a slip-up. The member from Humboldt Waters knows better. In fact, she campaigned on the exact opposite to her constituents. Looking at our campaign website, she highlighted training in anti-racism, culture and diversity, and providing sports in diversity. I find it extremely concerning that these hateful remarks were made after taking anti-racism training. Mr. Speaker, such hateful words should have real consequences. Why won't the Premier remove member from Humboldt Waters from caucus today?
I recognize the Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, as I indicated, the member from Humboldt-Watrous has apologized for those comments. The Premier has addressed those on the floor of the Assembly. He has taken further action, removing a number of the duties from the member. Mr. Speaker, as I said in earlier answers, Mr. Speaker, we recognize the tremendous contribution the Sikh community has made to Saskatchewan. We appreciate that. We'll continue to recognize that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Riversdale.
Mr. Speaker, the weekend has come and gone, and the Premier found time to fly to Ottawa for the Canada Strong and Free Conference, a conference founded by Preston Manning, someone who penned an op-ed calling for Western separatism. The Premier and a few potential future Sask Party leaders mayhaps flew down east to hang out with conservative thought leaders and ignore the problems here at home. Why did the Premier and the Health Minister fly off to Ottawa when they should have been here fixing the problems in healthcare?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
You know, it's interesting, Mr. Speaker, that last week in question period, the NDP, or the opposition, pardon me, asked more questions about my weekend plans than Saskatchewan patients, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, when it comes to our leader, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't take much to know that that's the party over there that changes their leader after every election. The party on this side, Mr. Speaker, we stand with our leader. We like winning. We like delivering for the people of this province. That's why myself and members of this caucus stand by and support our Premier. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Riversdale.
Mr. Speaker, the minister doth protest too much, methinks. A house divided within itself cannot stand. And as long as the Sask Party is occupied with who is going to be the next leader over there, the real issues facing people here at home will continue to be ignored. People will continue to struggle to pay their bills in an economy that lags every other province, and with a healthcare system that forces women out of province for basic care. Why won't the Premier focus on the real issues facing Saskatchewan instead of hanging out with separatists in Ottawa?
I recognize the Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, there was a lot in there, but I would address the comments about supposedly a divided house over here that the member opposite made. As the Health Minister just said, this caucus is fully united behind our Premier, the best Premier in this country. Mr. Speaker, it's my hope and the hope of all members of this caucus and of this party that this Premier stays a long time because he is the best possible leader for this province. Mr. Speaker, the members seem to be confused, though, on that side of the House. That's the side that keeps changing leaders, Mr. Speaker. In fact, since I've been elected, every election they tend to change the leader, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the former MLA used to call the leader of the opposition's chair, called it the ejector seat, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Stonebridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. United behind the member from Humboldt-Watrous as well. Seniors in Saskatoon-Stonebridge fear for their housing. Dozens of the residents that I graciously represent today have shown me their records and receipts. Their rents have gone up 10 to 29% over the last 2 years, and they're paying for fees on things that they have never seen before. They live on fixed incomes and thin margins, Mr. Speaker. They can't afford this, and they are scared of what happens next. Other provinces have introduced protections like caps and rent increases. We are one of 2 provinces in Canada that do not have this mechanism, not in Saskatchewan. No. Why won't the minister get to work and offer protections for tenants like the seniors of Saskatoon-Stonebridge?
Hear, hear, hear. I recognize the Minister of Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And when it comes to rents in Saskatchewan, particularly seniors' rents, this is an issue between a private landlord and their tenants. This is not an issue where the government will be getting involved. I should note, Mr. Speaker, that year over year in Regina, rent prices have actually decreased. In the most recent report for rentals.ca, Saskatchewan has the lowest average rent in the country. It's an average of $1,336 per month. Mr. Speaker, that's for a one-bedroom apartment. That's over $200 less than next door in NDP, Manitoba, who have an average rent of $1,592 per month, Mr. Speaker. Out of the 60 major cities across Canada, one-bedroom rental in Regina is the 4th cheapest in the country, and in Saskatoon, it's the 7th cheapest in the country. For a 2-bedroom rental, Regina is 5th cheapest, Saskatoon is 6th cheapest in the nation. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to rental and affordability, Saskatchewan is leading the way across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon-Stonebridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The stats the minister just said mean nothing. These residents have their bills and receipts here today, and I encourage them to show the minister afterwards if he's willing to meet with them. Last week, we heard the Minister of Social Services claim rent isn't an issue in this province, as he more or less is right now. He's welcome to tell that to these constituents who are worried that they won't be able to afford their homes they enjoy now and forced to move to a new location, costing them even more money to do so. What is that minister going to do for seniors in Saskatoon-Stonebridge whose rent is going up too high, too fast, and will he meet with these seniors from Saskatoon-Stonebridge today?
Hear, 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 hear. I recognize the Minister of Social Services. Hear, hear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And yes, I'd be more than happy to meet with these residents of Saskatoon to discuss the issues that they're facing between their landlord and themselves. Mr. Speaker, the best way to address rent prices and really housing across all continuums is to increase the supply of housing throughout the province in all areas throughout the continuum, whether that be supportive housing, whether that be through transitional housing, social housing, market housing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we've put in place several different initiatives in this budget to help with that, to increase the housing supply across the province, and that includes the home renovation tax credit. That includes the provincial sales tax rebate for new home construction. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to keeping rents affordable and keeping mortgages affordable, the best thing to do is to increase supply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear, hear. Ministerial statements. I recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in the House today with a message of hope, compassion and progress in the fight against breast cancer. On April 23rd, the doors of the new Regina Breast Health Centre will open to patients, marking a significant milestone in how we support women facing one of the most difficult and emotional journeys of their lives, a breast cancer diagnosis. Today, we had the honour at the grand opening event to hear directly from a breast cancer survivor, an experience that was deeply moving and a powerful reminder of why this work matters. She spoke candidly about the fear and uncertainty that followed her diagnosis, the countless appointments she had to coordinate across different locations, and the emotional toll it took on both her and her family. But more than that, Mr. Speaker, she spoke of the hope she found in the hands of her care team, the nurses who listened, the doctors who took the time to explain, and the support staff who never let her feel alone. Her journey was one of resilience, courage, and determination. and her voice echoed the need for more coordinated, patient-centered care, exactly what the Regina Breast Health Centre is built to provide. Now, her story is not just a reflection of the past, but a call to action for the future. It is women like her who inspire us to keep pushing for better and more compassionate care. Her experience is at the heart of what we have built here. This new centre represents not only an investment in infrastructure, but a transformation in how care is delivered in the southern half of the province. For too long, patients have been required to navigate a complex system, often attending multiple appointments across different facilities in the city of Regina. The Breast Health Centre here in Regina changes that. It brings diagnostic imaging, biopsies, specialist consultations, and patient navigation together under one roof. And in the near future, it will expand to offer on-site therapies and rehabilitation services as well. By integrating these vital services into a single location, we are ensuring that patients receive timely, coordinated, and compassionate care. Care that wraps around them from the moment of diagnosis through every stage of their treatment and recovery. The centre will be staffed by a dedicated and highly skilled team of healthcare professionals, including radiologists, surgeons, nurse navigators, and support staff. These are individuals who understand not only the clinical needs of breast cancer patients, but also the emotional toll that a diagnosis can bring. They will work together to ensure that patients are not just cared for, but that they are supported, empowered, and never left to walk this journey alone. In addition to 13 new hires, 4 existing positions from the current Breast Assessment Centre at the Pasqua Hospital will be relocated to the new facility. This transition will ensure continuity of care and allow us to build on the expertise already in place, all while reducing the burden of travel and multiple appointments for patients. Mr. Speaker, the streamlined referral process that has been built into the centre's design will reduce wait times and provide patients with the greatest sense of comfort through continuity and familiarity. When someone hears the words, "You have cancer," their world can change in an instant. Knowing that a coordinated team is ready to act quickly and compassionately can make all the difference. This $8.5 million investment is far more than bricks and mortar. It is a reflection of our government's commitment to healthcare that meets people where they are, with compassion, with innovation, and a deep understanding of what patients truly need in their lives. I want to take a moment to extend my sincere gratitude to the healthcare teams, the planners, and the community partners who have brought this vision to life. Their dedication and collaboration has helped create something truly remarkable that will have an impact on many families in our province. And to the survivors, the families, and the advocates, your strength and resilience are a constant source of inspiration. This centre and this investment is for you. It stands as a testament to your voices, your advocacy, and your courage. Mr. Speaker, Saskatchewan women deserve the best possible care. And with the opening of the Regina Breast Health Centre, we take a significant step forward on delivering on that promise. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for providing a copy of his remarks in advance. It's good news that the healthcare centre is opening, but this government has no credibility when it comes to women's health. Mr. Speaker, the Minister is talking about how about what he is doing and what this centre will mean for women who are facing a cancer diagnosis, yet 500 women, more than 500 women, have had to go to Calgary for basic breast cancer care that they should be able to get here. They have to endure this diagnosis alone. They have to pay out of pocket for services, and it's heartbreaking. And frankly, we need more compassion. And we have new internal messages that show the government hasn't hired new staff, but is instead reallocating existing resources from other facilities. This government has had 17 years to fix our healthcare system, yet they've broken it. It is time for us to invest in women, invest in women's health, and ensure that we have the resources that we need. Thank you for the opportunity to respond.
I recognize the Minister of Remote and Rural Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, strengthening healthcare services in rural, regional and northern communities is a high priority for our government. Our goal as a government is to ensure that every Saskatchewan resident has access to healthcare professional at the right place and at the right time, which is why today we are announcing an additional 16 communities that will benefit from Saskatchewan's Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive, the RRRI program, extending eligibility to a total of 70 communities.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, this Made in Saskatchewan program will add eligibility to the communities of Waka, Spiritwood, Raymore, Pine House Lake, Maryfield, Corrobert, Granville, Foam Lake, Elrose, Cutknife, Central Butte, Carrot River, Candle Lake, Beachy, Balcarres, and Arborfield. The Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive offers up to $50,000 for hard-to-recruit positions in rural and remote areas of the province and includes positions such as nurses, medical technicians, and continuing care assistants. More than 420 hard-to-recruit positions have been filled as a direct result of this incentive, which is a key to stabilizing and strengthening healthcare services in rural and northern Saskatchewan. Mr. Speaker, a total of $8.7 million is being provided in the 25-26 budget for the Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive Program. This includes $1.8 million investment for an additional intake round of up to 180 new applicants and continued funding of $6.9 million for the existing recipients completing their second and third year in the workplace. By expanding the Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive Program to more communities, we are able to reach more healthcare professionals and ensure that rural and remote communities have access to primary care when and where they need it. This incentive has proven to be a great success in attracting highly sought-after healthcare workers, including in northern communities. More than 150 hard-to-recruit positions have been filled in northern communities as a direct result of the Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive Program. Some of these communities are North Battleford, Prince Albert, La Ronge, Isle-la-Crosse, and La Loche. Attracting healthcare professionals to northern communities is especially critical, and we are taking the necessary steps to ensure that northern residents have access to primary care when and where they need it. This incentive is one of the many important initiatives that have been introduced through our government's ambitious and nation-leading Health Human Resource Action Plan. The Health Human Resource Action Plan has been supported by over $460 million since it was first introduced in 2022, and we continue to invest in numerous initiatives put forward under this action plan. Our HHR Action Plan aims to recruit, train, incentivize, and retain more healthcare professionals in Saskatchewan. We have seen success through ongoing collaboration between multiple ministries, health employees, partner agencies, post-secondary institutions, and professional regulators. That is why in this year's budget, a total of $156 million has been committed to support these initiatives under our HHR Action Plan. This is an increase of over 10% from last year. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to invest in our HHR Action Plan, the most ambitious one in Canada, Mr. Speaker, so we can ensure that Saskatchewan remains an attractive place for professionals to work, live, and build a career in healthcare. And we will continue to invest in our northern communities with programs like the Rural and Remote Recruitment Incentive to strengthen services and ensure every resident of this great province has access to care when they need it.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for providing a copy of the remarks in advance. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has said that this will give residents access to health care at the right place at the right time, yet women are still being sent to Calgary to access mammograms and basic health care. The Minister claims that nurses and medical technicians and continuing care staff that there will be more positions here in Saskatchewan. Yet we see at the Breast Health Centre that it's simply a matter of shuffling staff from the Pasqua Hospital to the Breast Health Centre to fill positions. The minister talks about the services they are going to provide to the north. But I'd like to ask, when was the last time the minister visited the north? We're talking about creating healthcare positions in northern communities. But the issue isn't creating healthcare positions. The issue is a lack of housing for people who need access to healthcare and for healthcare workers. Mr. Speaker, what the minister is saying about filling these positions, when I was in La Ronge, I did not hear the same thing. Attracting healthcare professionals to northern communities, well, that's simply not the issue. The issue is having the resources available, having housing available. In La Ronge, there's a shortage of housing and therefore a shortage of healthcare workers because there's nowhere for them to reside. We're talking about recruiting and retaining more healthcare professionals in Saskatchewan, yet we still have a doctor shortage. And over 500 women have been forced out of province because the Sask Party government can't keep their promises. Mr. Speaker, the investment that has been made into this program, well, we're still seeing cuts to healthcare. And frankly, this is failing northern communities and it's failing Saskatchewan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills. Presenting reports by standing and special committee. Orders of the day.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 6, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 13, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2025, MLA Bachelor.
I recognize the members from Saskatoon Westview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to rise today in the Assembly to enter into debate on Bill number 13, the Income Tax Amendment Act of 2025. I do have several points I'd like to make before it moves on to the next stage. So this act is basically putting into legislation many of the promises made in the provincial election campaign by the Sask Party government relating to affordability. This legislation will include exemptions for basic personal amounts, which do change. It's routine for those to change from time to time. Also, exemptions for spousal amounts, amounts for dependent children, as well as amounts for seniors. There are also provisions for people with low incomes, tax credits for people needing fertility treatments, and tax credits for small and medium enterprise investment, as well as the rebate has increased for university graduates. Now, Mr. Speaker, saving money through income tax can be a good thing. So you know me well enough by now to know I'm going to tell a story. So I think back to the 90s when my husband and I were struggling financially, and we had a young family. And one of the reasons we struggled so much financially is because we had this enormous burden of student loans that we had to pay off. And those never counted for anything, right? So I would be paying $500 a month to student loan payments. At one point, we were paying $1,000 a month for both of our combined student loan payments. And there was no reprieve for that. And then suddenly it was introduced into federal legislature that you could claim the interest on student loans. And believe it or not, that provided just enough of a reprieve, just enough breathing room that it did make a difference. So that was a good thing. However, if we think about the bigger picture, there are problems with trying to create affordability simply through income tax savings. I want to relate another story of a senior who came to me recently who told me that her rent is going up $370 a month. That's over $4,000 a year. She does not qualify for the rent benefit. And so what this means that even though she will be getting an exemption in income tax as a senior, that will actually not make up for the increase that she's going to be paying in rent. So affordability is not being improved for her through these measures through income tax. Another issue we need to think about is that a lot of these people aren't going to benefit from these until next year, right? So they're not going to benefit now. We also know there's no affordability being implemented through PST exemptions. So income tax is one form of tax, but provincial sales tax is another form of tax that people are paying. Again, I'm going to tell a story. So in 2017, there was PST added on many items throughout the province, and those additions continued on year after year. And PST was added to used cars. So my son worked 2 jobs to be able to buy a used car, and he had to pay $1,600 in PST on that car, and he couldn't afford that. He's a young man starting out, he couldn't afford that. Also, we just wanted to comment on the graduate tax credit. I believe this only applies to people who graduate with an undergraduate degree, so when I graduated with my PhD, I wasn't able to claim this. There's also no ability to claim tuition or the education amount that we used to be able to claim on income tax for full and part-time study. And as for the income tax exemptions for people who are living below the poverty line, I think there's other ways we need to think about for lifting people out of poverty than simply tax exemptions. So the government has said they're listening to people, but these affordability measures are limited when we consider things like rising rent. I'm glad to have had the opportunity today to commit a few insights to record. And with that, I look forward to seeing this bill move on to the next stage. Thank you.
I recognize. Who do I want? Oh, yes, I have that. The question before the Assembly is a motion by the Minister that Bill number 13, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2022. The question before the Assembly is a motion by the Minister that Bill number 13, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2025, be now read a second time. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Agreed. Carried. To which?
Second reading of this bill.
To which committee shall this bill be committed? I recognize the Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Standing Committee on Crown and Central Agencies.
This bill stands committed to the Standing Committee on Crown and Central Agencies.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 9. Resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 16, the Provincial Sales Tax Amendment Act 2025. MLA Blakely.
I recognize the member from Regina University.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to enter some comments on the Provincial Sales Tax Amendment Act. You know, the summary, the purpose of this bill is removing the PST exemption on vaping products. You know, obviously we're very much in support of that. I've got 2 teenagers at home and my 2 high school students at home in my house. I know very much that these vaping products are specifically targeted at younger individuals, and we see a real epidemic of people taking up that vaping at an extremely young age. You know, so obviously we stand in support with the Sask Party government when it comes to tobacco and vapor product initiatives that encourages good health. In November of 2023, we were happy to help them and the Youth for Change push through the Tobacco and Vapor Product Control Amendment Act, which raised the minimum age for purchase of tobacco and nicotine products, and that was something we were very happy to collaborate with all involved on. you know, when it comes to nicotine and vaping products, tobacco products, there's really no safe amount, particularly when we're talking about youth. There's still lots of studies to be done on the long-term effects of vaping that we've not yet really seen the results of, just because it's frankly a newer technology that hasn't been around long enough to have real long-term clinical studies on. So obviously very much in support of removing the PST exemption. I mean, that's you know, I would love to see when you remove one exemption here that perhaps you could get rid of some of the 32 PST expansions we've seen this government make since 2017. But ultimately, you know, ultimately this is a positive move on the government's part, and one that we support. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see this bill move to committee. Thank you very much.
The question before the Assembly is a motion by the Minister that Bill number 16, the Provincial Sales Tax Amendment Act 2025, be now read a second time. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Agreed. Carried.
Second reading of this bill.
To which committee shall this bill be committed? I recognize the Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Committee of Crown and Central Agencies.
This bill stands committed to the Standing Committee on Crown and Central Agencies.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 10, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 17, the Saskatchewan Commercial Innovation Incentive Patent Box Amendment Act 2025. MLA Brechner.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon, Chief Ms. Dwasis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to rise to make a few comments regarding this Bill number 17, Saskatchewan Commercial Innovation Incentive Amendment Act 2025, in order that we move it forward to committee. It's interesting to me, you know, it's been spoken to a number of times by a number of my colleagues. Obviously, this is deemed to be a good program. It's being extended for 2 more years. So we can be in agreement that the major part of this is that there's an economic eligibility test to be removed. And that sort of gives me cause to take a step back and to take a bigger look at what it is that we're trying to do here. I'm noticing some of the dates. You know, the government opposite took power in 2007, and then in 2017 they decided that they needed to do something to promote innovation. And I would suggest that there's never been a concern in innovation in Saskatchewan. Innovation, whether it's considered as invention or just the amelioration of some already good idea, people do this. People innovate all the time. Every time someone is faced with their daily situation, they're always looking for a way to make it better. So what it seems to me, and when I read through all the points of the removal of the economic eligibility test, is a bit of a question as to why that was necessary in the first place, that only those that were jumping through the correct hoops of economic eligibility and providing all sorts of what seems to have been barriers towards executing and having agency with their new innovations. I can only imagine that removing those barriers is a good thing. As my colleague from Saskatoon Westview says, you're getting used to some of my stories. I always leap into my world as an educator, and the thesis that I never wrote for my education administration was, the thesis of it was that the greatest untapped resource in the classroom was the empowerment of the passion of the teacher. And it was all about giving the teachers the permission to live their passion. And when I'm looking at this innovation incentive, the parallel seems clear to me. We don't need to motivate people to be innovative. They are innovative. But what we can do, like I would have suggested in a school that I might have had absolute control over, where we might have removed some of the barriers to the teachers doing their passionate work. I think the people of Saskatchewan deserve to have some of these red tape, if I may, what seems to me to be red tape in order, and it has now 7 years, 8 years after the execution or the implementation of the legislation. It seems like it's getting simpler, and I applaud that. We applaud that. And with that, I'm prepared to allow the bill to move forward to its next stage.
The question before the Assembly is a motion by the Minister that Bill number 17, the Saskatchewan Commercial Innovation Incentive Patent Box Amendment Act 2025, be now read a second time. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried. To which committee?
Second reading of this bill.
To which committee shall this bill be committed? I recognize the Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Standing Committee on the Economy.
This bill stands committed to the Standing Committee on the Economy.
Government orders adjourn debates. Item number 13, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 20, the Small and Medium Enterprise SME Investment Tax Credit Act. MLA Gordon.
I recognize the member from Regina University.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pleased today to rise and enter in some comments into the record on Bill 20, the Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Tax Credit. You know, obviously, we're very supportive of small and medium enterprises, small businesses here in the opposition. I myself was formerly a member of the Regina Chamber of Commerce board here in Regina. Just recently, we got to attend, myself and lots of my colleagues, the Paragon Awards, recognizing some of the greatest small and medium-sized businesses here in the province. You know, this investment tax credit is a very positive thing in many ways, and you know, a lot of the act, the act is to make sure that those taxpayer dollars are going to the right people in the right way at the right time. You know, so obviously something we're very supportive of. Still have some concerns around if out-of-province investors can also claim this tax credit. It's important to keep Saskatchewan-owned businesses Saskatchewan-owned and ensure that any Saskatchewan taxed dollar is staying in the hands of the Saskatchewan business people and not people from out of province and out of country. You know, for small businesses in this province right now, there is so much anxiety. People are really struggling, not only with what we've seen for the past couple of years, an affordability crisis in this province and right across this country, which has hit small business owners twofold. One, in the increased costs of them doing business, and two, in the difficulty customers have in having less money in their pockets, particularly for people in the service and retail industries. I've seen both on the one side, the cost of business increase, and on the other side, the spending power of their customers decrease. And that was all before we saw the chaos created by the tariffs implemented by Donald Trump to the south of us. And you know, even for a lot of Saskatchewan businesses. I talked to one business owner in my riding of Regina University, and it was interesting because it was this great store called Hello Baby for baby clothes. If plug for them, if anybody has small kids, but it's such an education on the supply chain issues that really every business owner faces. Most of the products that this business owner sells are made in Canada, but even, you know, like a baby car seat, the majority of it is made in Canada, but the buckle for it is made in the United States. So how does this affect how this product is going to get to her? So, you know, any relief we can provide to small business owners, small and medium enterprises here in the province is greatly appreciated. Obviously, we think that we can be doing a lot more. One thing that I was super delighted to see, it was a campaign commitment of the NDP back in October to keep the small business tax rate at 1%. Initially, the government had said they were going to raise it to 2%. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, they saw the light and agreed with the NDP that it should be kept at the 1%, and I'm very happy that was a very sensible decision made to follow the NDP on that respect, and certainly provides some relief for small business owners. But you know, in closing, Mr. Speaker, just want to say that I'm so proud of the small and medium businesses here in Saskatchewan. They're really the backbone of this province. They contribute so much to our economy, both in the business they do and the jobs they provide. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see this bill move to committee. Thank you very much.
The question before the Assembly is the motion made by the Minister that Bill number 20, the Small and Medium Enterprise Investment Tax Credit Act, be now read a second time. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Second reading of this bill.
To which committee shall this bill be committed? I recognize the Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Standing Committee on the Economy.
This bill stands committed to the Standing Committee on the Economy.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 1, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 3, the Safer Communities and Neighbourhoods Amendment Act 2024, MLA Bachelor.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon, Stonebridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to be on my feet to discuss and debate Bill number 3, the Safer Communities and Neighbourhoods Amendment Act 2024. The bill and amendment would have the power to deal with nuisance properties, which is defined as a property that remains open to unauthorized entry despite being vacant. The bill, summarized in its entirety, has benefits, allowing for structures that are beyond repair or people are taking refuge in them for their own safety. It allows the powers that be to deal with the situation appropriately, whether it's the owner not cooperating with proceedings. This gives us the right to, gives the authorities the right to make the proper adjustments to the property. The director can but doesn't have to warn or try to make arrangements with the owner before applying for this order under this bill. And the Crown is not on the hook for broken leases or mortgages. If anything is being done to these properties that might result from work being done on the property, maybe dismantling the property, the Crown won't be responsible for any of that lost revenue. But some of the things that are of concern are not so much related directly to the wording of this bill, but how people are struggling with maintaining their properties in the province of Saskatchewan. Those fortunate enough to own a place, we have the worst mortgage arrears in Canada. It's the fastest rising for rents. Even with an affordable cost of living, these sorts of increases are asking many of our residents to move out and move on to newer towns or villages, and some people aren't ready or interested in leaving their homes. So the home reno and first-time home buyer credits aren't going to cut it. Obviously, that's going to be helpful in some of these situations, but in many of these situations where these properties are require severe repair, these aren't the types of folks who are going to be able to afford a home renovation. They're not the type that are going to be able to access first-time home buyer credits. We need to look at the root causes of all of these issues surrounding poverty, mental health and addictions, crime, cost of living, We hope the Sask Party is going to do more to make neighborhoods safer for all. Beyond this bill, we know that more work needs to be done on these root causes, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I move to adjourn debate on Bill number 3.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 2, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 4, the Workers' Compensation Amendment Act 2024. MLA Gordon.
I recognize the member from Regina Wascana Plains.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in the chambers today to continue debate of Bill number 4, the Workers' Compensation Amendment Act 2024. As has been debated and discussed in this House previously, this bill stands to extend compensation coverage to wildland firefighters, extend coverage to non-residents of Saskatchewan doing work outside of the province for a Saskatchewan employer. The bill also goes on to state that Workers' Compensation Board members whose terms have expired can finish participating in any hearings ongoing since before their terms expired. Also stated in the bill is that appeal decisions must be published in a format in keeping with regulations. As we move forward in this process, my colleagues will continue, of course, to confer and comment on this bill. As we all know, firefighters are our community heroes. They do important, dangerous work, and we fully support expanding coverage to these wildland firefighters. In our changing climate, wildfires are becoming more common and more dangerous, and these heroes deserve to be cared for. All people of Saskatchewan deserve to work in a safe environment, and on those worst days when an accident occurs, they deserve to be taken care of. We hope to continue seeing improvement to safety standards so that workers' compensation isn't an issue. When firefighters are called to do their work, their important work of keeping land, buildings, and people safe, the last thing that any firefighter should have to worry about is how they or their family will be cared for if a workplace accident or tragedy happens. This bill gives firefighters some peace of mind, enabling them to concentrate on the task at hand. When it comes down to this, caring for those firefighters that risk their safety and their lives to keep others safe, we should be doing all we can to allow them the financial coverage. Again, we've heard lots of interesting comments, ongoing opinions of the debate from my colleagues. I'm sure we'll have more comment and input. So, Mr. Speaker, I move to adjourn debate on Bill number 4, the Workers' Compensation Amendment Act 2024.
Member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 3, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 5, the Saskatchewan Employment Amendment Act 2024. MLA Gordon.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Westview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise again in the Legislative Assembly today to enter into debate on Bill number 5, which is the Saskatchewan Employment Amendment Act. The purpose of this act is to create flexibility for employers while still supporting employees. And some of the measures within this act include prohibiting employers from withholding tips, limiting when employers can request sick notes, and extending leave provisions. In looking through the notes from Hansard as well as the bill itself, I do believe that many of these are positive changes that will be beneficial to Saskatchewan workers, and I do appreciate anything that will support our workers in Saskatchewan. So, for example, with the measure regarding tips, without this legislation, there is no guarantee that the tips that we provide for good service actually make it to the staff. So I do welcome this measure. The one that I think I'm really pleased to see is the changes to requirements for sick notes. And I think we've all had that experience, Mr. Speaker, where we've gone to the doctor's office. I think about a few summers ago I broke my toe. and I was sitting in the doctor's office waiting for hours just to get an x-ray and confirm what I already knew, which was that my toe was broken. But during that time, I was being exposed to germs from people who were waiting to see the doctor to get a sick note because they were off work due to a cold or a flu. And I think this also is quite honestly a waste of doctors' valuable time as well. I also wanted to speak to the change on bereavement leave, and I'm in full support of changes to bereavement leave for those who have suffered a miscarriage or loss of a pregnancy up to 20 weeks before the date that the pregnancy was due. And as someone who has experienced pregnancy loss and had to return to work immediately afterwards, I found that very traumatic and extremely challenging. So I do support that amendment. I've also worked in a women's shelter for 2 years in northern Saskatchewan, and I can see how the amendment to the Act to allow for leave for survivors of violence is very supportive to the healing that takes place for folks who are in that position. This bill does have some red flags for me. One that I am concerned about is that the provision for mass firings or layoffs is increased to 25 people, whereas it used to be 10. And this makes it actually easier to fire people en masse. So I find that to be quite problematic. I'm also concerned about changes to requirements for employees' work schedules that only require consent of the employee with no consultation with union. Employees may feel pressure to commit to these, to agree to these, and I think that the consultation with the union needs to stay in place. And then lastly, I think wages paid in cash. I have friends who have had to get child support, and it's been very difficult for them to do so. And so if wages are being paid in cash, it can make it even more difficult to garnish money from partners or ex-partners for child support. I do look forward to further debate on this bill and consultation with stakeholders. And with that, I move to adjourn debate on Bill 5, the Saskatchewan Employee Act Amendment. Thank you.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 4, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 7, the Court of Appeal Residency Amendment Act 2024. MLA Zanger.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Silver Spring.
I recognize the Speaker, too. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate that. I rise today to speak on furtherance of the debate of Bill number 7, the Court of Appeal Residency Amendment Act of 2024. I think there's not really much more I would be able to add to this. To others' perspectives that have already been provided, seems to be some fairly simple and straightforward amendments that would hopefully assist the Court of Appeal in its vital functions to the province. A number of measures perhaps to assist the staffing of appeal court judges by allowing the Chief Justice to permit any given judge to reside in Saskatoon instead of Regina, providing for some more flexibility. All I would mention is, based on my prior law enforcement experience, I understand and are sensitive to the importance of having a well-functioning court system. I have, been a part of cases and investigations that, unfortunately, due to delays in the court system, resulted in perfectly good cases having to be stayed or withdrawn due to those delays. So I think anything that would assist the court in adequately functioning, being efficient, and utilizing people and resources in the right manner would, generally speaking, have the support of myself and I know of my colleagues. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would move to adjourn debate on Bill 7. Thank you.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 5, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 9, the Traffic Safety Amendment Act 2024, MLA Blakely.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Silver Spring.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. I rise on my feet to do furtherance the debate of Bill number 9, the Traffic Safety Amendment Act. Again, I don't think there's much more I could add to the debate that my colleagues haven't already done so. You know, the bill seems again to be a very straightforward amendment to allow you know, the regulation-making authority to deliver other forms of documents other than in person or by mail. Clearly, you know, we are in the 21st century, 2025, and more and more personal communications and delivery of documents, secure and otherwise, are done electronically or digitally. And so I think, generally speaking, we would support this bill if it assists the ministry and the government to facilitate the service of documents to individuals, and quite frankly, you know, get them other than mail or in person. It could be much more quicker and more efficient, both for the government and for the people in our communities, particularly in our rural communities and in isolated communities. This might be a great way to assist them in getting those documents, the information they need in order to deal with the things that they have to under the Traffic Safety Amendment Act. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would move to adjourn debate on Bill 9 as well.
The members move to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 7, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 14, the Power Corporation Amendment Act 2025, MLA McPhail.
I recognize the member from Regina, Wascana Plains.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. On my feet again to continue debate of Bill 14, the Power Corporation Amendment Act 2025. As discussed and debated in this House previously, this bill stands to increase SaskPower's borrowing limit from $10 billion to $14 billion. Things also mentioned in the bill, things already known and reiterated are SaskPower and its subsidiaries are agents of the Crown. SaskPower profits are property of the Crown, and SaskPower can lend or advance money to its subsidiaries and demand repayment. As we move forward in this process, the Shadow Minister for SaskPower and my colleagues will continue to confer and comment on this bill, as we see this area as vitally important. With the looming trade and tariff war, electricity is going to be a major issue, which is why we continue to call on the government to have a plan to protect infrastructure, including power lines. Electricity in this province, no matter how it is generated, is a valuable resource and commodity, and we need to advance and protect it. We also need to make sure that the cost of that advancement and protection is not passed on to the consumer in such a way that makes it unaffordable for the customer. However, the cost of utilities continues to increase. For many people in the province, especially the most vulnerable that require income assistance, the cost of utilities and rent is becoming unmanageable, with many folks having their power cut off or finding themselves evicted for not being able to pay their bills. We have to ensure that our Crown corporations are paying these utilities, making these utilities affordable for people of Saskatchewan. With regards to points mentioned in the bill, restating SaskPower's relation to the Crown seems rather redundant and unnecessary. Again, we've heard lots of interesting comments and opinions during the debate of this bill from my colleagues. Of course, our Shadow Minister for SaskPower will have further input and comment on this important bill. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move to adjourn debate on Bill number 14, the Power Corporation Amendment Act 2025.
The members move to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 8, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 15, the Alcohol and Gaming Regulation Amendment Act 2025, MLA Pratchler.
I recognize the member from Regina University.
very much, Mr. Speaker. I myself am deputying on the whip job today, so I appreciate you stepping into the chair. Pleased to rise today to put some comments on the record for Bill number 15, the Alcohol and Gaming Regulation Amendment Act of 2025. You know, this is to allow for the SLGA to charge interest on late payments for alcohol purchased by distributors. You know, this will allow the SLGA to enforce debt repayment with the same powers as other crowns. It will also allow on-reserve gaming employees, regulators, suppliers, directors, if they don't obey the terms of their registration, that the maximum penalty can be increased from $10,000 to $25,000. You know, the SLGA is such a valuable crown, and we want to see them empowered to get the money they're owed. Unfortunately, with the what we've seen in the competition from the private sector for SLGA storefronts that has been allowed by this government, we've already seen a decrease in revenue that this province is getting from the SLGA, as well as the loss of good union jobs. So any support for the SLGA that we can see is positive. Like just about everyone, liquor sellers are struggling right now, so you know we are concerned that the number of entities struggling to pay on time is only going to go up. And it's really important to support gaming operators on reserve as well. You know, the Sask Party government has had some challenges with meaningful funding for First Nations, Métis and Inuit affairs. Those communities really depend on those gaming payments. But in general, obviously supportive of SLGA being able to have the same powers to get money that's owed to them as other crowns. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move to adjourn debate.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 11. Resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 18, the Regulated Health Professions Act. MLA Jorgensen.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Westview.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It is my privilege to rise today to enter into debate on Bill 18, which is the Regulated Health Professions Act. My understanding on this bill is that it will bring together regulations governing a number of different health professions. It will also provide rules on creating and running a health college. It outlines roles and processes for councils and the laws and bylaws that fall under their purview. And lastly, it outlines the powers of conduct and discipline for committees. One thing that is absent from this amendment is massage therapists. So we're wondering where they fit in, because we know that they have been working very hard to enact legislation that governs their profession. Now, good governance, as we know, is essential for a well-functioning healthcare system. Also essential for a well-functioning healthcare system is respect for healthcare workers. Adequate staffing is also extremely important. And with that, I look forward to hearing more from the Shadow Minister of Health on consultations. And I move to adjourn debate on Bill 18, the Regulated Health Professions Act. Thank you.
The members move to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 12. Resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 19, the Regulated Health Professions Consequential Amendments Act 2025. MLA Jorgensen.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Westview.
Thank you. I am pleased to rise again, this time to speak to Bill 19, which is an act to make consequential amendments resulting from enactment of the Regulated Health Professions Act. Now, the purpose of this amendment is to repeal the definition of, quote, duly qualified medical practitioner, end quote, and substitute with the following quote. A duly qualified medical practitioner means an individual who holds a valid license to practice medicine issued by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Saskatchewan pursuant to the Regulated Health Professions Act, end quote. As well, this Act repeals the definition of physician from the Vital Statistics Act and substitutes it with a, quote, physician means a duly qualified medical practitioner, end quote. I look forward to more consultation and debate on this amendment, and with that, I move to adjourn debate on Bill 19, an act to make consequential amendments resulting from enactment of the Regulated Health Professions Act. Thank you.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried.
Government orders adjourn debate. Item number 14, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 21, the Construction Codes Derelict Buildings Amendment Act 2025.
I recognize the member from Regina University.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pleased to rise today to enter in some comments on Bill number 21, the Construction Codes and Derelict Buildings Amendment Act. I frankly thought I'd be talking out the clock on this last week, so it's nice to get a chance to stand up today and enter some comments into the record. You know, this has to do with the demolition and construction standards for derelict buildings. You know, we certainly see a need to address derelict buildings. This is something that we've heard from municipalities across the province, and this needs to be dealt with. But we are concerned with some of the issues around just lighting up buildings that might have toxic materials like lead paint or batteries or asbestos or asphalt. You know, that's something that's a concern that we hear from firefighters in terms of workplace health and safety. Also some concerns with you know, the rights of homeowners or building owners on either side of any building that is being burnt to the ground. I think it's also, when we talk about this bill, to give the context of that derelict buildings are a problem in Saskatchewan, in our urban centers, really all around the province, both in terms of housing and in terms of businesses. But, you know, I think we have to take a look at why we have so many buildings that are fallen into disuse, why we find so many businesses that are fallen into disuse. It is not the sign of an economy that is doing so well. That a major concern of our municipalities is how do we deal with so many derelict buildings? That is not, I think, a harbinger of an economy that is on the rise, unfortunately. And, you know, we've seen, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure many of the members in the House are familiar with the broken windows theory. And how that relates to, you know, community. And, you know, we see too many buildings across this province. Unfortunately, many of the public housing units that are actually owned by this government that have fallen into such disrepair that they're no longer adequate for people to be housed in. And that's, you know, the housing issue is kind of perhaps a separate issue that I could speak for to a lot longer, but ultimately I think when we talk about, you know, the hazardous building materials in many of these buildings that have to be disposed of, you know, as we talk about the need to burn so many buildings down, it's a positive thing, you know, that we need to get rid of these and improve our communities, you know, but ultimately more consultation does need to be done with, certainly with firefighters and obviously with the kind of healthcare professionals around some of the dangers of combustion of derelict buildings. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I would move to adjourn debate on this bill.
The member has moved to adjourn debate. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried. I recognize the Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To facilitate the work of committees, I move that this House now adjourn.
It's been moved that this Assembly do now adjourn. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt this motion? Carried. This Assembly stands adjourned until tomorrow at 1:30.